Hello, welcome or welcome back, hopefully, if you've seen the others that we've recorded, to Upsun Product Highlights. My name is Jack Creighton. I'm in the product marketing team here at Upsun. And on the call with me today, as you can see, someone who's not only a bit more handsome than myself, he's a lot more knowledgeable than myself on all things Upsun, is Corey Dockendorf, who's the Senior Solutions Architect here at Upsun. Corey, I know you well. You were my onboarding buddy, a little bit of behind-the-scenes knowledge there. But tell us about yourself, who you are, what you do at Upsun, and what you're into.
Absolutely. So I am, as Jack pointed out, a senior solutions architect. I've been with Upsun for approximately just a little over 5 years now. I am a jack of all trades, master of most. I've been in the tech industry for the better part of 25 years. So I've been working on anything from, home-built servers in the back of a closet all the way to now with AI and automated AI agents and things like that. So I've been around the block a couple times. So and my job here basically is to help customers coming to Upsun and learning how we work, understanding the technical needs, and really finding a good fit for them to be here and what they can use us for within their day-to-day services.
Sounds good to me. And you're also an expert in this kind of thing as well, because you kind of left me a little segue there as well, talking about
I
AI
did.
agents. Nicely done.
Yeah.
It was a breadcrumb. I picked up on that. So me and Corey were talking, we're thinking about things to talk about, and he came up with the idea of talking about this cool new feature that we've got at Upsun called task containers. So Corey, the stage is yours. Feel free to dive right in. How does this help? Why is this cool? Why should people care about it?
So, so I always like to start with like a scenario because we've all been there, right? So in theory, you got a job or like a data migration or a batch report that you want to run, right? So, well, that only needs to run maybe once a week, right? This is not a thing that I'm running all the time. It's something that's sitting in the back end, but I need to run it because, hey, it's the end of the week. We got to run a batch report for everything that's happening, right? But what happens with most customers is that they usually have some sort of resources that are assigned to that job, right? And what happens is that all week, that service that was sitting there on wherever it's going to be on a server or on a container or whatever, and it's just idle. It's just sitting there, just waiting for it to do its one job on Friday. It's so excited, it waits all week for that to happen. So, that becomes the issue of like where customers go, well, why am I paying for this all week when it does one thing on Friday, right? Yeah. So then that's what happens. So that's where we came up with task containers, right? So task container, the short version is it's basically an ephemeral on-demand compute piece, right? So what happens is that they spin up when they're triggered directly by an API call. They run exactly one command, right? And then automatically shut themselves down once they're done. So you don't have to worry about having those resources just sitting around and being idle all the time, right?
Yeah.
We see this with a lot of customers these days because especially now, with all of the pieces of AI and whatever, people are running all of these separate jobs or these one command trick ponies, right? That they need to be able to spin up and spin down really quick. So with task containers, it's really a nice way to be able to basically optimize those resources without having them sitting idly around all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And so what are you seeing? I know it's quite early on in sort of the product's life cycle. It's a fairly new product. People are start using it. What are some of the most interesting use cases, or maybe some of the sort of most important value points that customers are pointing out when they've started using task containers? What details have you got there?
So with that piece with task containers is that, again, like I always use the batch job, is that one of the ones that I've seen that is probably the most popular, and this one everybody can relate to, is reindexing your database. Everybody reindexes the database. It's just one of the things you have to do. It's standard database cleanup. It's just one of those things that happens. And that seems to be that's the one that clicks the most. Because I think what happens with task containers is, just to your question of like, well, what do you use it for? You have to start thinking about like, well, what do I have that I only run once a week? Like, what do I have that I only run once a quarter or whatever? Well, the cool thing with that is that with the data, with reindexing a database, you're gonna have to do that. You have a schedule for that. So that's one that we see immediately. That's the one that gets customers really hooked, because they're like, oh yeah, I do that. I have that. I do trigger that maybe once a week, every 2 weeks, or every month. And they're like, yeah, that would be so much easier because they have that service system running in the background. And we see that anywhere from like mid-market and SMB segments all the way to enterprise segments, right? That's just one of the things that is the status quo when you're developing sites and applications these days.
Yeah. And as you say, like, it's one less thing to worry about, right? It's one less thing you have to keep track of, because it spins up, it does the thing that it has to do, and then it goes away automatically. And there's no kind
Yeah.
of manual workaround needed. There's nothing needed from you there. It's just a simple API call and you're good to go.
Exactly, exactly. And now I think what we're seeing now too is like, especially with AI agents being into play, there's going to be a more interesting take on a lot of those, right? So when we think
Mhm.
about like an AI agent doing real work, actually needs, production context. So logs, metrics, deploy history, but you also really don't want to just give it an agent free reign over the live app, right? You don't
Mhm.
just want it to go in there and do whatever it wants. Like that's a terrifying thought. You're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
just go in there and just you
Yeah.
do it. No guardrails or anything. So at least with a task container, right, you can give that agent, that real context, but also
Mhm.
with proper like container level isolation,
Yeah.
right? And then that agent can even spin up a, in here at Upsun, can spin up a preview environment, validate their own changes before anything gets merged, right, to production,
Yeah.
right? So you have those checks and balances that would actually pretty much help. So, and with everybody trying to find some way to put some sort of AI agent in their site or application today, this is one of those, we can integrate it now, and it gives you a way to do this. However,
Mhm.
you also have the guardrails to wrap around it so that you basically have the control without having to worry about it going, haywire.
Yeah, no, 100%. And something that we do quite well here at Upsun, we eat our own dog food or we drink our own
Yep.
champagne because we're a French company. So
Cheers.
we've actually built a couple of agents that are built on
Hmm.
top of the task container technology. So keep your eyes peeled for that. There's more to come soon. The first one out the
Absolutely.
door will be a performance agent. But yeah, shouts out to the product team. I think they've done a really good job at sort of finding the balance between something that's useful, something that's easy to set up and get running, and there's
Hmm.
something that sort of really sort of feeds into that customer feedback that we've been getting around sort of how do I enable my agents, how do I start working with agentic workflows with Upsun, and this is kind of the key foundational pillar to that, right? Those task
Yeah.
containers.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I mean that it's really just like a nice way so that you can only have to pay for it. And that's the cost control as well, right? Is
Yeah,
being able to take those, now that I have this cool thing that I can do, I can
yeah,
also control the cost of being able to spin it up and down. So it's got multifacets of how it can help out on pretty much everybody and everything. So I think it's pretty
100%.
cool. We have a blog post that's up that's really well written for those that are interested. I'm sure we can put it in the show notes, and then you guys can
Mhm.
check that out. And I think we have a couple more blog posts going to be that will be posed around that. So just keep
Yeah.
an eye out. There's a lot of good information coming out for it.
Yeah, 100%. We go from, we range all the way from sort of deep technical notes, deep technical documentation to blog posts that sort of give you an idea about how those workflows would actually work for you. And as
Mm-hmm.
Corey says, we'll add those into the show notes. And for any other information, please feel free to check out upsun.com. You'll see a whole range of useful, both articles, videos, all of the cool stuff that you could possibly imagine is up there. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, with that, I think we can call it a day. Corey, thank you as always for your time, your insights. You're just a nice person to have a conversation with. So
Oh,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
it as always. So,
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
that's
All
it.
right.
Thank you
Cheers.
again for watching and catch you in the next one.